Hello, welcome back to Oolykee Gaming and welcome back to another episode of Soviet Skylines mod Monday, Greek cars, Polish map and Russian destroyers. Soviet destroyers, nevertheless. Anyway, disclaimer, this is something that caught my eye. There's a lot of beautiful mods. I'm gonna list some of them. This is just 8 mods that I decided that to present in this video. There's no promotion, nobody paid for this, just it is what it is. Right, so we have a lot of vehicles that I didn't cover here. That would be Vaz vehicles, for example, Fiat, as well as my favorite truck producer, Scania. We have helicopters Mi-6 that are not presented here. We have unpopulated Polish map. We have a lot of beautiful Armenian buildings that are not going to be covered here. Some of them will. So go there and check out all the mods in the mod section. There's a lot of beautiful mods made in the last 7 days. So let's get cracking. Abelian Hike 852 residential building based on a real building in Yerevan, Armenia, accommodates 312 workers, provides 95% of quality of life. There's also description in Russian as well, as far as I can understand it, but I'm gonna leave that to you. Now this is a really beautiful building that was actually meant to be accommodated for kids as well. Beautiful playgrounds. Was this under? No, it's just a gazebo. I thought it was even underground connection to somewhere, but no, it's really beautiful and unique building. I think Mr. Abel is doing amazing job. And how does it compare to vanilla building? Just to do it a little bit differently, I'm gonna compare it to this building. 143 people that can live in prefab building over here. So we're gonna just try to compare it twice the price. So if you go to our mod section and if you go for our residential buildings, or if you want to go all the way in the end to find your newest mods, these are the mods that I installed here. So we can go and check out the building here, October Avenue building. It compares like this. The vanilla building requires 574 days to be built, 57 tons of prefab panels, 5.8 tons of steel, while this building requires more than double work days. It does require more than double concrete. It does require more than double ground, more than double everything. So definitely this is price-wise comparison. It's definitely perfect building and something that you're definitely gonna see in my Let's Plays. Big thumbs up. And by the way, this is my favorite mod, this mod Monday. Угловая, пристройка, панельных домов. Right, this is me butchering the Russian language, sorry about that, by Gorbachev. Now this is a corner building. Gorbachev has a lot of buildings in a similar type, similar design, and these are just the corner buildings that can be fit. You have different ones, 5-story high, 9-story high, and of course 10-story high. If you go to a link in the description of the video, you can see how they can be designed, and there's a link to the rest of the buildings. This is just a batch of corner models. You can build beautiful square rayon areas for your residential areas, but you're gonna have to go and check out in the link in the description for more details. Now these corner buildings usually cost a little bit more to build, but how does it compare to vanilla building? Let's go for the biggest one and see if it fits. So the closest one we have is prefab panel building here, and let's try to compare it. This is 100 people and this is 97 people. If you go to our mod section, and of course it's all the way in the end, you can see here this is the 100 people building that we are talking about. So on the left hand side, 1,500, it's like 3 or 4 times more expensive one. It's more expensive, the model over here, up to 3 times. So definitely something you're gonna have to pay a good price for if you want to see it in your Republic compared to vanilla one. Definitely big thumbs up in my book. Abelian Hike 852 and Publishing House. Publishing House, based on a real building, Yerevan, Armenia, employs 70 workers and 70 professors, works as a radio station. Okay, I'm gonna go on a rant a little bit here and say, first of all, this building is yellow. I was like, no way in hell this looks in real life like this. And of course, Mr. Abelian Hike has links to this building in real life and also pictures to this building. Guys, this building is yellow. Is this yellow? I was thinking like, right, that's really bright. No, this building is in real life really bright. Now, the second rant I'm gonna say is, this is publishing house. Usually publishing house means a newspaper agency or something like that. And this is something that I would like to see in this game, to have newspaper agency, because we have radios, we have TVs, we have even computers, maybe even internet company, propaganda sites or something like that would be a good thing, but publishing as well. I mean, you have it in other games, so I wouldn't have it here, and this is covering the age range from 1960s onwards, and of course you can modify it to be even earlier, and newspapers were a big thing. Almost always, and still is. So I believe, first of all, this is a beautiful building. We're gonna compare the price-wise to vanilla, but also something that can be expanded in game in the future. Now let's compare it to the vanilla game radio station. So if you decide to go for this building instead of vanilla one, you can see here on the right hand side, vanilla is quite expensive, 12,000 work days to be finished. And let's see what we get with this modded building here. As you can see here, we have the modded building all the way here, publishing house, 4,200 work days to finish, 61 tons of concrete, 300 tons of whoa. Okay, yeah, the one, it does have much less concrete, but has equal amount or a little bit more bricks to finish. Steel-wise, yeah, it's much cheaper than vanilla one, but I think the vanilla one is extremely expensive in any case, over 300,000. You can freaking buy a refinery for the price of radio station. Anyway, something that I will definitely be using in my Let's Plays, so thumbs up in my book. Something we have regularly here on this channel is Mr. Rob 074 and office buildings. This is one of the series of the office buildings Mr. Rob's tends to create recently. Of course, it has a beautiful models on the side of the building, and of course I downloaded all the skins so you can check out what kind of skins we have. This is a little bit on the white side. Actually, I kind of like it. A little bit of gray, a little bit of red, a little bit darker something, a little bit of yellow, and a little bit of a lot of stuff. So if you install all the skins, you're gonna have a lot of different skins that you can recolor your building as really beautiful model. Usually I wanted to say that I'm not gonna compare this to vanilla building, but you know what the hell, Mr. Rob's never disappoints, and almost every single one of his buildings is more expensive than vanilla building. But even if it's not, the amount of people required here, it's 3 times of vanilla building. But let's compare it. So on the right hand side here we have a city hall, vanilla city hall, and on the left hand side here we're gonna have the office building. So office building on the left hand side requires 1,545. Even though it has a less footprint, it does require more materials to build. So Mr. Rob's never disappoints. Of course it requires a little bit less steel because it's a all steel building, but does require more prefab panels, bricks, boards, everything else is more required. So I'm pretty sure that this is quite expensive building to build. Well, let's compare it. 30,000 here, and vanilla one would be 30,000, so more or less price-wise is the same. So, like I said, Mr. Rob's never disappoints. Billman 007, 16-story residential building. Let's go for a little bit more details because there's a lot of details here. I wanted to just scroll through this one without even putting it in this video when I noticed couple of really beautiful details like this. I would reckon that this is an elevator shaft or something in the middle of the building, and then I noticed how beautiful the balconies look here. Now this is gonna be one of my favorite residential buildings, and it's definitely sharing the first place as my favorite mods in this mod Monday. It's really beautiful building. I cannot say really enough because it has a little bit of brutalism vibe to it, and then these balconies, you can see how round it's not sharp edges. It took a lot to build these kind of models. You can see that a lot of time went into details here. And then this elevator shaft, if it is elevator shaft on top, and then chimneys and all the stuff, it looks absolutely beautiful. This is one of my favorite buildings. Again, it has a really positive upsides, one of them being not having a road connection, because I hate those. I hate road connections to buildings. I know some buildings do have road connections, but anyway, this one doesn't. So definitely big plus in my books, and I will be using it myself. Now let's try to compare it to one of the vanilla buildings. Right, so on the right hand side we have 189 people and 91% quality of life building here on the right hand side. This one has a little bit less of a footprint, so I would expect a little bit less asphalt and concrete on a base, but it could be comparable. But let's see how wrong I am. So if we go to the building here, it's C minus, yeah, that's the one. So this is the building that we're talking about. It's C minus 97 minus 1 underscore IND. 70,000 rubles to finish this one, only 14,000. So you're gonna see that this is way too expensive compared to vanilla building with the same population. You can see here that it does have 192, this is 189, so it's 3 people more live in this building, but the price tag is steep. It does require 4 times more steel, it does require, wow, 5 times more prefab panels, actually 4 times, but requires similar amount of gravel, like we mentioned in the beginning. It doesn't require asphalt. That's interesting. I'm not a modder, I don't know how it works, but usually all the buildings need gravel and asphalt as a base. This one doesn't, but nevertheless it's interesting. It does require a little bit less concrete, but prefab panels and steel definitely make up for this. Definitely, I love it. I love this building. You know what? Maybe it could be my favorite one this Mod Monday, but you know what? Let's just leave it as it is. Beautiful model. Like I mentioned, there's a lot of vehicles this Mod Monday. I chose to select Motsma Namco Pony. Was a light vehicle manufactured between 1972 and 1983. The vehicle was a result of alliance of Greek company with Citroën and was based in was based on the 2CV and the Baby Browse project. Anyway, so this is a Citroën based vehicle. It's some kind of small, I don't want to call it SUV or whatever, but it's a iconic Greek model, Greek production vehicle, and I think even companies continued operating to 1990s, I believe. I can read a little bit more details after googling this, but I don't want to bother with this. If you want to go and search for this, you have a Namco, N-A-M-C-O Pony Super. This would be one of these vehicles, and they were produced actually between 85 and 92 as per Wikipedia, but who am I to say these things? Probably Citroën model was a little bit earlier. You see all the color schemes, there's double blue and double orange, just a heads up, and I think I skipped one, but you have the full rainbow spectrum of colors for this vehicle. It can be purchased for dollars, and compared to other dollar vehicles it's more or less similar. It's a little bit cheaper, but it's also a little bit slower, so definitely price comparison wise is fine. I have no idea why it doesn't have an icon here, but nevertheless it's there. Be careful, you need to buy it with dollars, not rubles. Right, so we have something different here. It's Kashin class destroyers. This is, well, it's not, I wanted to say battleships, but they are not battleships, they are actually destroyers. It's something a little bit bigger than frigate and corvette, I believe, but smaller than cruisers. Battleships are not being, like, as a big fan of World of Warships game that I've been playing for a long time, like I mentioned, I used to work for the company as well. I had to put these guys in here. So these are destroyers, and this is something also that these are ships that you probably won't be using for transporting crops like you can over here. It's actually something that I'm a strong advocate of is arm industry, that you should be building arms. I mean, like other games like Tropico have it as well. I don't see any controversy of building weapons and exporting it. I mean, India, China, Vietnam, Algeria are only some of the countries that are huge importers of Soviet weapons, and now Russian one as well. So having these exports would be quite positive thing to have and quite realistic in today's world. But anyway, this is something that I find really interesting. So I'm gonna say a word or two about this mod. First of all, Sulfart is the person who made this Soviet warship, Kashin class destroyer. Soviet designer Project 61 or Project 61 were the series of anti-aircraft guided missile destroyers, the Kashin class. Soviet designation Project 61 were, okay, that's double pasted there. They were being produced from 1960s. Yeah, they were designed in 1959, I believe, but produced all the way up to 90s, I believe. Years available 1959 until 1986. Speed is 38 knots. It's quite decently fast ship for a destroyer class, of course. all bad Soviet torpedoes because they don't have any range, but really good engines, really fast ship, really reliable. Anyway, you're gonna see in the games as well. Unfortunately, we don't have these. They are too modern for World of Warships game, but definitely something that caught my eye. And export industry, I believe, military or arms export industry is something that we should have in this game, I believe so. Right, and the final one, Bank, Real Scale Gdansk Populated by Al Pacino. 1-to-1 scale populated might featuring historical districts of old Gdansk and Novi Port with stock residential buildings. Beautiful, beautiful, really nice representation of the area, of the Gdansk area. Actually, I visited this area a while ago because I said my better half, she's Polish, and we went to Gdansk as well to visit. And one of my favorite cities, actually, it's probably my favorite Polish city. But anyway, a couple of little discrepancies on the map that I found that are not really ideal, but we're gonna cover those. Let's start with the minerals first. Coal, not so much. Iron, a little bit more dense, but still it's gonna be challenging. Oil, plentiful, mostly offshore. You have some onshore as well. Uranium, really, really low amounts of uranium, and aluminium or bauxite production would be something that you're gonna find here and probably exploit. So I think it's fairly developed map, and I love it. Right, let's cover the city of Gdansk first. The favorite city in Poland. Of course, it has its own vibe here. You know that Gdansk is also built on these river canals, channels, and also it's historically a merchant city, so it has a lot of artificial canals around it. Of course, you have a Westerplatte and the area around here. Now, a little bit of discrepancy that I didn't find so nice would be this here. Now, in real life, this area here is connected to land with let's call it a little bit of a mound for transporting oil, and this would be somewhere where you would build your harbor area. At least it's a deeper water, so I think it's oil loading, unloading for probably processing purposes for Gdansk consumption. Of course, you have a big oil tanks around here if you want to build a real representation of the harbor area, but I think there should be a mound or some kind of connection between the land and this triangular area here, which is really really good real life presentation of this. Now, Novi Port would be the port area of Gdansk, and as far as I remember, yeah, it's named Sopot there. I wanted to say that this border crossing here, it's more or less in the position where the second of tri-city areas, Sopot, and then the last one would be Gdynia all the way to the north, but it's really beautiful representation. I don't know much about geography of Poland around this area, but I will assume that these are real cities, or at least where the real cities are supposed to go in that direction. Now you have a sea connection to both, I believe, Soviet and NATO, but let me check this. No, you're gonna have a little bit of a problem. Sopot is like a trader city or something because there's a NATO border crossing there in Sopot. Yeah, you don't have really a Soviet border crossing. Let me check. Yeah, you should have it. You could have it here. Or maybe not. No, it's NATO border crossing here as well. So you wouldn't have any shipping towards your Soviet brothers. You probably would have to go overland or extend these river canals to Soviet countries. So Soviet countries you would have on west and south here, and north and east would be NATO countries. But anyway, this is a really beautiful Polish map. Potentially we're gonna have Let's Plays on this one as well, but I'm gonna leave that for some other time. You can see that there's a lot of infrastructure that needs to be finished here. Anyway, that's it. Let me know what you think about what mods did you like here. Leave a comment in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Like, subscribe, notification bell, ring it, comment section, hit it. And if you want to support the channel, you have the description of the video. Guys, happy Monday, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. Bye bye.